Okay, for our first question, we will determine whether each of the following tables of values is linear, quadratic, or neither. And we will do this by using what are called first differences and second differences columns. Now, the first thing we check in one of these questions is that our x column always increases by the same amount. In this case, every x value increases by 1, so that's okay. Now we make a first differences column, and the way I do it is always subtract up. Now because this first y value doesn't have anything above it, I leave the first differences space blank. Then I subtract up from the second entry to the first. 7 minus 6 is 1. 8 minus 7 is 1. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 10 minus 9 is 1. Notice always subtracting up. There's a formula that we'll learn in a later video in which the direction in which we subtract is very important. So I would strongly advise always subtract up. In other words, don't say 6 minus 7 is negative 1. Always say 7 minus 6 is 1, and then 8 minus 7 is 1, etc. That leads us to our second differences column, which we sometimes need, but which in this case we don't, because all our entries in the first differences column are the same. When all the entries in the first differences column are the same, the relation is linear, and there's no need to go any farther. Therefore, linear. Let's get to our second question. First thing we do is check that our x column, the entries all increase by the same amount. Well, they're all increasing by 3. Negative 8 to negative 5, negative 5 to negative 2, negative 2 to 1, and 1 to 4. Well, we're then going to make a first differences column. Subtracting up, we have a blank spot here. Now negative 141 minus negative 321 is equal to 180. Okay, negative 33 minus negative 141 is equal to 108. 3 minus negative 33 is equal to 36. And negative 33 minus 3 is equal to negative 36. Clearly we do not have a linear relation because our entries in the first differences column are not all the same. So we make a second differences column. Now we have to leave the first space blank, but we also have to leave the second space blank because there's no number above 180 for it to subtract with. So that's blank. 108 minus 180 is negative 72. 36 minus 108 is negative 72. Negative 36 minus 36, you got it, negative 72. Since all the entries in the second differences column are the same, we say therefore we have a quadratic relation. Finally, our last one, we make a first differences column, and we check to make sure that all our x entries are increasing by the same amount. In this case, they're all increasing by 5. The first differences entry is blank. 8 minus 6 is 2. 11 minus 8 is 3. 13 minus 11 is 2. 17 minus 13 is 4. Clearly not linear. We make our second differences column. We leave the first entry blank. We also leave the second entry blank because there's nothing above 2 for it to subtract with. 3 minus 2 is 1. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. And we see that we don't have a quadratic relation either. So we can say therefore neither.